All right, welcome into midfield. We look a little bit different this week, but that's just because we've got a whole lot of craziness going on leading up to state championship week. We are here in the final stage before you make it to Arlington, the state semifinal week. So we've got some matchups that we want to cover. I'm Donna Conrad. Alongside me virtually is Douglas Galler. So, Doug, let's get right into our takeaways from the regional final round. A lot of teams maybe surprised us.
Well, I'm going to start from the top to the bottom as far as size goes. First off, this year, for the last 4 or 5 years, you drive up to Arlington this time of year, you see hay bales on the side of the road when you get into Grandview. They're painted green. They say go Lions. Well, we're not going to see them this year. Franklin, it's the first time they're not playing in the state championship game since 2018. They've been in there. Sorry, first time since 2019. They've been in there 4 years in a row. Um, Big loss to Columbus this past week. Bryson Rigdon, the big transfer out of Benjamin. Um, he was healthy this week, which he hadn't been in the past, and it showed. He was a big reason the Cardinals got their a win in that game. They're looking to make their first ever state title appearance with a win this week. Then we moved to Class 2A, rewriting the record books for the Bulldogs. Hamilton down 14-0 in the third quarter and score 15 unanswered, includes going for two with like less than 2 minutes, maybe a minute to play in that game against Axtell. It's ride or die. You're either going to win this game or people are going to hate you because you failed that 2 point conversion. And they got it. They ruined the Longhorn season. But you know what? I think this Hamilton team is really special this year. Undefeated, 14-0, making history like never before. And then the Bremond Tigers. Week two they lost to Grapeland, 44-32 by 12 points. Playing Grapeland in the regional final, and yeah, it was a lot bit different. 45-14 win over the Sandies, and that game, like, you know what? I think when that matchup was first announced, we knew who Bremond was going to play. I was skeptical. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go. But as the week went on, I felt more and more. I was leaning more and more towards the Tigers. Not enough to say, hey, there's a 12 point. They can make up that 12 points. I think I told you, Donna, earlier last week. I said if that first matchup was an 8 point game, Bremond could win, but it was a 12 point game. I don't think they have it in them. I was flat out wrong. They were just impressive with that one.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go right into talking about the Bremont Tigers because here they are uh, playing for a state semifinal this week with a chance with a trip to Arlington on the line. And just credit to that group. They've been so solid this whole year. I've got to see them play a couple times now, and they've got so much going for them as far as offensively. They've really brought it. And, I flipped to their defensive front too has been really impressive. And you saw both on display this past week in the regional final, especially with that final score. Um, they've just got a lot of playmakers, and this will be the first time that they're back in this position since that run that they had to state 8, 10 years ago. And so,
2016.
yeah. And so, you know, I just think that they've got so many pieces that set them up really well to be in this position. And I think that they've been looking to get back here for some time. And Coach Kozowski, he's got the kids out in Fremont now to make that run. And, even last year, they were kind of plagued with injury throughout the season. It was tough for them to stay healthy, as it is with a lot of two-way programs. You got a lot of two-way players with a lot of wear and tear when you're playing this many weeks of football. But just credit to this group, what they've been able to accomplish. They play with some heavy hitters in a tough district, and now here they are about to play Shiner on Thursday, again with a trip to Arlington on the line.
You think about this team, it's a very young Bremont team
Hmm.
led by a freshman quarterback in Sam Kozlowski, who has 25 passing touchdowns on the season, over 2,000 yards passing, and he's just a freshman. We haven't seen this kind of production since that 3-year run, 2014 through 2016 for Bremont, where they won 3 state 2A championships. That's if I'm the Mark Panthers right now, I'm scared for next year because my district, which let's face it, was a tough district this year, is going to be even tougher knowing that you got kids like that coming back and you've got to face them for 3 more years. Oh, yeah. And then you got a running back in Tank Scott, who's just a junior, who's averaging 131 yards a game. The hits keep coming with this team. And I would not be surprised if Wednesday night we're sitting at AT&T Stadium watching this team.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, and you just talked about two powerhouse kids on this team, with Sam Kozlowski and Tank Scott. And, Tank Scott can get it done on the ground. I've watched Sam Kozlowski has seemed to just continue to get better throughout the season. You pointed out that he's a freshman. So, I mean, what's the ceiling for this kid, you know?
Well, and you mentioned how many kids play both ways. He doesn't just contribute on offense. He plays inside linebacker, I believe, as well, and making plays on defense as well. They got kids that play both ways, playmakers. You look at their roster, just where the contributions are coming from, and you see junior, sophomore, freshman, junior, sophomore, and there's not a whole lot of seniors on this team. And the fact that they've made it this far means that, hey, next year and the year after, oh yeah, and this freshman class is making big contributions. 3 years from now, this team is going to be a force in Region 3 for years to come.
I agree. I agree. Excited to see how that matchup unfolds against Shiner down in Cyprus, Thursday night. Now let's talk about some 4A action. The La Vega Pirates are also a win away from AT&T Stadium.
La Vega's been playing really well. Last week, I mean, offensive production was through the roof. Their defense was a little different than what we've seen. They gave up 30 points to a Sealy Tiger team that offensively has been dominating everybody throughout the playoffs. But 30 points is the most they've given up in any game that they've won by far. 22 was the most against Robinson, and we know how that game went for the Rockets. They got completely dominated, especially in the second half of that one. But the most points that the La Vega defense has given up, and it wasn't even close this game. Bryson Rowland, the incredible running back for the La Vega Pirates, career high 301 yards rushing. I was getting text messages during this game going, "Oh my gosh, this guy is amazing. This guy's so good." Hey, don't let his small stature, his size, fool you. This guy will run you over. He doesn't have any offers, scholarship offers as of yet, but he is garnering lots of attention from colleges all across the area, especially FCF schools that are saying, "Hey, we want you to come to our program because, we see what you do both offensively and defensively, and we know you're going to be able to contribute."
Yeah, I mean, the kid's an athlete. So, I mean, hopefully he continues to garner attention, especially with the season that the Pirates are having and, getting to this position. They also were in a very competitive district alone this year. And then, like you said, Sealy, God, I watched Sealy 2 weeks ago, take care of business against Gatesville. And so, you walked into that game going, this Sealy team is red hot, but La Vega is also hot. And so, they were able to handle business, and now they've got a big one against a regular state semifinal contender in Wimberley down in Georgetown Friday night. So that'll be interesting as well. I'm really interested to see how that one plays out. And
You
if La
look at
Vega can make it there.
you look at Wimberley, who has played in the state semifinal game 6 of the last 8 years. They've won 2 of those matchups, going to the state championship twice in an 8-year stretch, losing both of those games. But to be here consistently, we talk about how red hot Sealy is. Wimberley is playing just as well, probably even better. And I think their size in the trenches really helps them out. I watched a lot of that game against Sinton last week. Number 4 Sealy playing, number 4 Wimberley playing number 2 Sinton last week. The score ended up being 36-33, but that's because uh, garbage time points there late in the fourth quarter. Um, Sinton was able to get some scores against Wimberley's backups, but this game was not close throughout.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I wonder if Wimberley's experience of getting to this point in the postseason consistently will be the difference maker Friday night. It could not be though. I mean, hard to say when it comes down to especially I feel like in high school, part of it is experience and getting there in the postseason, but a lot of it too, and which is what we've seen kind of play out throughout the postseason is who's getting hot at the right time and who's healthy and who's firing on all cylinders. So yeah, that's an interesting one on Friday night. Now, we do have a confirmed state championship game with the Oakwood Panthers taking on the number 1 Jayton Jaybirds in Arlington Wednesday morning at 11 a.m.
You talk about Oakwood, they have never played for a 6-man state championship, but they have played for a state championship. In 1991, they lost to Memphis in the Class 1A 11-man state championship game. But so it's been a long time for the city of Oakwood, and this team, I could they're 9-5 on the season. And you think about that, just the record alone, how could they make it to a state championship game? This team has plenty of fight. They got a bunch of good kids. And you talk about a team that's getting hot at the right time. They are hot at the right time and ran into what we thought was the buzzsaw of Kyler Fawcett and the Oglesby Tigers. Yeah, and they said, "Yeah, we'll take care of business," and they get the win there last Saturday. They get a couple extra days because they're playing 11 a.m. on Wednesday. So we'll talk more about them next week as well for this matchup.
So now let's go into predictions. Not many teams left on our radar, but what are you feeling for this week's state semifinal games?
Well, yeah, I look at a possibly a team of destiny. Maybe when you think of the Hamilton Bulldogs going against the number 1 team in 2A Division 1 in Stamford. Both teams 14-0. Hamilton's never been 14-0. Their the most wins they've ever had in a program is 11 wins, which was back in 2011. This is the fifth all-time undefeated regular season that this program has. This is 19 total playoff appearances, including this year, versus a Stamford team that's seen the playoffs 44 times. Their playoff history is just, I can't talk about it. We would be sitting here for forever talking about all the accomplishments that
Right.
Stanford has had over the years. But with running back Isaac Wood for Hamilton, he is shaped like a bowling ball. This guy is short and stocky, and when he runs, he looks like he is knocking over all the pins and and on his way to the end zone. And I got to see him play a couple weeks ago against Frankston, and I was just impressed of how resilient this team was. They got down. They let Frankston score on the first possession, and they came back and dominated the rest of that game, offensively and defensively. And so, Hamilton, I think, why not? Why can't we say this is their time? A team of destiny for them. You know what? I think a trip to Arlington with everything they've done. They beat Axtell last week, coming 14 points down, 15 unanswered. They get the big win time and time again over the season. Why can't they take down the number one team and go to AT&T? They can do it. My second prediction is Don Hyde hasn't been to a state championship game since 2019 when they lost to Carthage in the state championship game, who, by the way, most likely would have to play as long as Carthage beats Brock on Friday night, which they're expected to do. That, I mean, the prognosticators have Carthage winning that game. I think Don Hyde's going to get the win against Wimberley. It's going to be a close game. They're going to have to gut it out. It's going to be a real gutsy type win in the trenches game. But Don Hyde's going to play for a state championship. It'll be his third state championship appearance. He's only been a head coach since 2018. Oh yeah, his first year as a head coach, he won the state. So Don Hyde knows what he's doing. Central Texas. He's from this area. He grew up playing. He grew up in Robinson. He's coaching at La Vega. He knows this area so well. He knows those kids at La Vega very well, and he knows what it's going to take in order to get them to AT&T.
I agree. I think the La Vega Pirates, if we're going based off of what we've seen out of them throughout the postseason, it has been no easy run for any team, but they've had to play some really tough games, and just seeing their energy right now, I agree with you. I think we're watching them up in Arlington next week. So that's going to do it for us. Be sure to tune in Friday night. Arshaji Adam will be at the La Vega game down in Georgetown. So you'll have an update from him, and then join us next week here for another edition of Midfield before we head up to Arlington for state championship week.
We know we got at least one. We're hoping for three more games to have to cover. We're going to have you covered from top to bottom. And we also got a special surprise coming up next week as well for Midfield. So you definitely don't want to miss out on that.
For sure. All right. Well, for now, thanks for tuning into Midfield alongside Douglas Galler. I'm Donna Conrad.